are not
Okay.
coming.
Good evening, everyone. We'll call the meeting to order. Becca, would you please call the roll?
Flournoy.
Here.
Hallie.
Yes.
Anderson. Yes. Gandy.
Yes.
Rasmussen. Thompson. Toohill.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Council, any additions to this evening's agenda? Okay. We will have in our public forum appearances, Kim Malott Pruden will not be appearing this evening due to weather. Also, in the consent agenda, we will remove the December finance report. That's not complete for this meeting. We'll have it for next meeting. So they'll move then to our consent agenda. We have approval of minutes from the January 28th council meeting, approval of February 8th payroll of $113,798.99, approval of liquor licenses for SOMM Som Wines and Aranda's Mexican Restaurant, and approval of claims in the amount of $250,504.84. Any question regarding those consent agenda items?
Motion to approve.
Sorry? Moved by Anderson to approve.
Second.
Second by Gandy. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Thank you. So we'll move on to our resolutions and action items. And the first is set a public hearing for drawings, specifications, and contract for the City Hall accessibility project. And we'll set that for our next meeting, February 25th at 7 p.m. So I'd entertain a motion to set the public hearing.
So moved.
Moved by Flournoy.
Second.
Second by Gandy. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Next, we will consider an agreement with Calhoun Burns for bridge inspection. Melanie, would you lead us in that, please?
This is for I'll call it the annual bridge inspection, although all of the bridges and culverts aren't inspected every year. We do them kind of on a rotation. We've got 5 on this year's bridge inspections. Calhoun Burns coordinates the inspections with the inspections of the county bridges, saving some of the mobilization cost and being in the county all at the same time. So we have 5 structures for them to visually review, as well as do some loading computations. They have a lump sum cost of $1,650 for the inspection, with an hourly rate for the computations that they're expecting to be around $350. So the budget price for this agreement is $2,000, and this is a budgeted expense. So, like a motion to accept the contract for Calhoun Burns.
Okay. Council, any questions for Melanie? I entertain a motion to accept the proposed contract amount.
So moved.
Moved by Flournoy.
Second.
Second by Anderson. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Flournoy.
Yes.
Anderson. Yes. Toohill.
Yes.
Gandy.
Yes.
Hallie.
Yes.
Great, thank you. Next, Council, we have consideration of a fireworks contract, and Aaron will lead us through that.
The fireworks contract is that we do this annually. This year it's gone up about $300 to $500, and that was strictly because of the tariff war that we're having right now. So the cost has gone up a little bit. The fire chief advised that he doesn't think there's any problems with fundraising that extra $500. So he would recommend or would like the approval of this contract.
Okay, thank you. Any questions on that?
Doesn't this contract lock us in for 3 years?
Yes.
It's not annual. This is a 3-year term.
Well, we're not required to buy anything, but if we do buy something, we have to buy from these people.
Well, I thought the price that they gave us this year was contingent that we buy for the next 2. Or I think it was 2020. Yeah,
Well, here the
2021 to
basics of it.
2022. So 3 years out from this year. Agrees to purchase all of their Class B fireworks exclusive from seller for the next 3 years.
Right.
So it's not an annual contract.
So for 3 years. Yes.
And they give us a price break for doing that.
Yep.
What's the current expense for fireworks?
5,000, I do believe.
Yeah.
5,000,
Yeah.
is that all?
Well, it depends on how much money is raised. I mean, the city
Right.
usually contributes
Typically.
something. It's been between 3,000 and 5,000.
So it adds $500 to that, which Scott's comfortable fundraising for.
I move approval, I guess.
Moved by Flournoy to approve the proposed contract.
Second.
Second by Gandy. Any other discussion? Not all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Thank you. Next, council, we have a application for tax abatement. Carol Weisswasser at 1503 Wonder Way. The improvements that she is making is estimated about $24,000, and this would be under our residential tax abatement restrictions. So entertain a motion to approve the application for tax abatement.
So moved.
Moved by Hallie,
Second?
second by Flournoy. Any discussion? Not all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Thank you. Next, we have a parking along North Fourth. It sounds like that's been resolved. And Michael, if you'll give us a background again on that.
Yeah, so Rebecca Loper, our very clever city clerk, worded it such that it's based on the distance from the intersection. So we're not referencing parking spaces, which may change over time. We're referencing that space on the street. So the two spaces are, let's see here, if you could scroll back up there, Jason, so I can read that.
Third paragraph.
Yeah, so third paragraph, just the west side of 4th Street, 70 feet from the intersection of Grimes and 4th. Thank you. And the east side of 4th Street, 80 feet from the intersection of Hempstead and 4th. So that takes out 2 parking spaces on each side of the street. Should solve the bottleneck issue, and also should help with that sight distance issue that people were having when they pulled up to 4th on Grimes. So this is very well written. Thank you, Rebecca. I'm going to make a motion to approve it.
Moved by Hallie to approve the resolution restricting parking along North 4th Street.
Second.
Second by Flournoy. Any discussion? Not all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Okay. Thank you. Next, we'll move to joint city-county agreement on a proposed 2019 Jefferson County urban renewal area.
Yeah, the county is requesting us to approve this. They're required to have either a updated comprehensive plan or a urban renewal area to bond in their areas. If you look on the map that I gave you, there's a kind of an orangish line on the top right corner, of the map. That's one street or road that they're going to bond for. The street that we have to or brings us into consideration is Brookville Road, and that goes into our 2-mile territorial zoning. And then there looks like Pekin or Packwood Road also. So their urban renewal area will encompass all of that to the north of the city. It doesn't mean they're going to be utilizing urban renewal TIF dollars. It's just so that they can bond for those streets to fix those streets.
Okay, thank you, Aaron. We have County Supervisor with us this evening, Darren Hamilton. Darren, any comments on the proposed agreement from the county side? We certainly want to support your infrastructure development in the county.
Your Honor, distinguished counsel, this seems a little odd for me to be standing in this position. But,
Got to.
This is standard as far as our bonding attorney is telling us. It's the same thing that the city goes through with their comprehensive plan when they're wanting to bond for different road projects or different projects within the community. This is a $6.5 million bonding project that the county is wanting to undertake. We have a road that's completely falling apart, and it's more a detriment to our economic development than it is a positive. And so we want to be able to have all of our ducks in a row, just as I did in helping the city to do this with several of the projects they bonded for over the years. So if you have any questions about what our intent is it's just to try to be able to bring us up to date to where we're at. Our current county comprehensive plan was last done in 1993. So for us to move forward now, we would have to have an all-new comprehensive plan done. We really couldn't update the existing one that we have because so many things have changed in that 20-year time span. So this is why we're presenting this to you tonight, and we have to do this with also Vedic City and Packwood and Pleasant Plain because they're all in part of this area as well.
Great. Well, I think that's something we would want to support from our side. So council, I'll entertain a motion to approve the joint agreement.
So moved.
Moved by Gandy, second by Flournoy. Any discussion? Not, please call the roll.
Gandy,
Yes.
Flournoy,
Yes.
Hallie,
Yes.
Toohill,
Yes.
Anderson. Yes.
Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
Harry. Nice to see you. The council, in my report, I have a few reappointments and one appointment. Brandon Nelson for the library board to fill a position being vacated by Jim Pearson would be a new appointment. So I think I'd take that one alone and entertain a motion to approve Brandon Nelson to serve on the library board.
So moved.
Moved
Second.
by Gandy, second by Anderson. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same sign. And then for the Historic Museum Board, Gene Lutke and Mark Schaefer to continue a 3-year term for reappointment, and also Mark Schaefer, who serves on our Historic Preservation Commission, also for another continuing 3-year term on that. So entertain a motion to approve those folks for a reappointment.
So moved.
Moved by Anderson,
Second.
second by Toohill. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same sign. Okay, thank you. Council, I also, not just to kill time, but to go over the decision that the Iowa Utilities Board made early this week on the smart meter issue. Many of you read the article in the Fairfield Ledger about some of the decision areas, and the city provided a letter essentially contesting some of the points that IPL, which is the parent company for Alliant, made initially in their offer to create an opt-out policy. So one of the issues for electric meter type, a lot of our local constituents wanted to be able to keep their analog meters and not move to the digital meter, and the board decided that they do not believe it is reasonable to replace an existing working analog meter with a non-transmitting digital meter for those customers choosing to opt out of having an AMI meter. So essentially saying that for the useful life of the meter that you have now, they will allow the analog meter to stay in place. Caveat there is that Alliant does do testing of their meters, and if they get some failed testing, it is that class of meter that will be removed from the area. So we just don't know. The analog meters, potentially have a life of another 20 or 25 years based on what's been installed in our community. But if they begin failing, they can be taken out as a class, not just the individual meter. For customers who currently do not have an analog meter, on whose analog meter fails in the future, IPL will be allowed to use the non-transmitting digital meters as an opt-out option. In addition to the use of non-transmitting digital meter as an ongoing option, IPL should also offer customers the option of an AMI meter, which is the smart meter, that is programmed to pulse only once a month. This was a big issue for people who had health concerns, was that the original programming for the meters was 6 times a day, which still cumulatively was a relatively small amount of time, but the meters can be programmed in any way. So really receiving that information once a month as they do now with readings was something that is going to be allowed as an option. So if you're in a meter class where you have to have a smart meter, you can have it programmed once a month. For meter reading, originally the proposal was that people who opted out and had the non-smart meters would have to read their own meters. The board found that Customers should not be required to read and provide their own meter data to IPL. The board finds that it is reasonable to limit the number of required actual readings per year for opt-out customers with analog or non-transmitting digital meters to twice a year in order to minimize the meter reading costs. So they will be going to semi-annual readings, and I suppose keeping someone on, although I know they've also reached out to Aaron about potentially seeing if the city would be interested in picking up that reading responsibility along with our water meters. The other major area, IPL will be required to offer an opt-out option to all customers of record who otherwise meet the eligibility requirements, even if an AMI meter is already installed at the location. So the original proposal stated that if you, say, bought a home and moved into it and it had an AMI meter, they were not going to allow that owner, the new owner, to request a removal of that meter and an opt-out. So now, really, this is kind of an open situation that anyone who has a smart meter or does not want one for any reason, as long as you're the customer of record, you will be able to opt out. Another issue for eligibility concerns for commercial, industrial, and multi-residential and solar. The board finds that it is reasonable to limit the opt-out option to residential customers with a single electric or natural gas meter or a standard residential rate, and not include commercial, industrial customers or those customers taking service under a more complex rate. The board finds that where units in a multifamily residential complex are individually metered, the customer of record would be eligible to elect to opt out, provided all of the other eligibility requirements are met. So this is essentially saying that there is a more complex structure to the billing in those other classes, and that they would only allow that for the single electric or natural gas meter residential customers at this time. There was a request for a statewide moratorium. The board does not believe that a statewide moratorium is appropriate. On special customer groups like MUM or Vastu community, the board finds that IPL should provide customers in those communities or areas such as Vastu community in and around Maharishi University the option of limiting the emissions associated with electricity, including opting out of having AMI meters in that community. So essentially saying that they are recognizing that there are special collective areas that can opt out wholly, as opposed to individual customers opting out in the way that they've given permission to. Now, this is a little confusing on a whole community opt-out. It says the board understands it is not feasible for an entire municipality to opt out from having AMI meters, since many customers within the municipality may want an AMI meter, or because, as decided above, commercial and other similar customers will not be provided an option to opt out. What was confusing to me is that in the summary of this report, they essentially left it open for a community-wide opt-out based on Alliant researching and coming up what their charges would be for managing the whole community that way. They don't have that presentation right now. They would have to go through a special rate hearing to get something like that approved. I don't know whether that kind of request is going to come before this body from members of the community or not, but there was something that was a little confusing in the fact that this is what's in the body of it, and yet at the summary they said they left that open. So I'm going to try and get clarification on that. Then I think the other thing that was sort of most important also, and this is something that Doug, your committee weighed in, was the charge, the $15 fee for opt-out. The board finds in this proceeding is not the appropriate venue to implement a monthly opt-out charge. IPL's customers are paying for meter reading services in their current base rate, and those customers who opt out should not be required to pay an extra charge for service that is included in their base rates and which is still provided to nearly all customers whether they opt out or not. The board believes the forthcoming rate cases IPL will bring before the board are the appropriate places to determine what, if any, charges are appropriate for customers who elect to the opt-out option. This will give IPL the opportunity to modify its proposed charges to account for the actions the board is requiring it to take in this order that differ from IPL's original proposal in this document. So in this ruling that the IUB gave, they are not supporting our charges based on the rationale that they believe that it's already in the base rate. But if Alliant can prove differently and they can make some other proposal or they modify that amount, it could still come back that there would be some fee for opting out. Health and safety was another area that people had concerns. The board basically said it's moot because people are being given the chance to opt out. Privacy was another area, and they said that given the extra details and risk associated with data collection from AMI meters, IPL should explicitly discuss the energy usage data that is collected and the means by which it may be used. Further, the board does not believe the sharing of such granular data at the individual identifiable level to third parties should be done unless the customer consents or where such disclosure may be legally required. So in order to protect customer privacy, the board will require IPL to have customers explicitly opt out of having their energy usage data shared with third parties otherwise required by law. I think this was a nod to the privacy issues that people were concerned about, and I think they dealt with that well in terms of consent. Those were, essentially the highlights of the ruling. I think a lot of the people who were very concerned about the smart meters and their impact in the community are pleased with the decision and certainly the deliberation that went on. There were 3 full days of hearings on all of this information with expert witnesses and attorneys from both sides. So it did really get a thorough hearing, and I think the board in their deliberations were very rational and fair in their approach. So we'll see where it goes from here. I know that Alliant has basically put in these meters throughout 95% of their coverage territory in Iowa, and they probably will be doing so soon in Fairfield, but I think they have to recontact all of the customers to let them know about the new policy for opting out and getting all that underway. So any questions, Council, regarding that?
Are they going to have to resubmit a tariff to the IUB?
They are.
And is there a deadline for that?
They didn't talk dates, so I'm not sure what that is. Yeah, so I don't think that's imminent, but whether it's within the year, I'm not sure. Okay, Council, that's all I had in my report. Aaron, do you have anything for us beyond what we've done tonight? Or?
Yeah, just information. The budget is very close to being finished. It looks pretty decent. I'm going to have to go back to the department heads to shave a little bit of money out, but all in all, I think we're doing pretty good. I've been working with the library. They have some heating and cooling issues that are going to require a capital expenditure. So I'll be going to their library board meeting to have a discussion with them next week, Monday. We do have some more information regarding our downtown lighting project. We'll have a Ways and Means meeting next week. I think we're shooting for Wednesday, I believe, regarding that. And then the RAGBRAI Oversight Committee met last week, and getting the RAGBRAI folks situated to run RAGBRAI is underway. So looks like all that's getting to be a good thing. So that's really all I have.
Okay, thanks, Aaron. Okay, Council, anything else? There isn't any other business for the Council. I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Toohill,
Second.
second by Anderson. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same sign. Meeting adjourned.